Hey there, hope you're having a wonderful day. In this video, we're going to be coding the game BlackJack using Java. So throughout this tutorial, you're going to learn how to create the game logic and display it using a graphical user interface. So you can see here, we have a BlackJack game. The dealer has two cards, one is hidden, and the player has two cards, both face up. And I have a hit button and a stay button. So for those of you who don't know how the game works, each card has a value. So for cards with numbers from 2 to 10, the value of those cards are the values themselves. So 2 to 10. And Jack, Queen, and King have a value of 10. And Ace can be 1 or 11. So with those values, for each card, we total up our score. So in this case, I have a King and I have a 9. So in total, I have 10 plus 9, which is 19. Now the dealer, I don't know because the dealer has one hidden card, but we know that the dealer has at least a 4. So you can see here I have an option to hit, which just means draw a card, and an option for stay. So I have 19 points. So the goal is to get 21 points, but if you get higher than 21 points, you automatically lose. So it doesn't matter what the dealer has. If you bust, meaning you have more than 21 points, you automatically lose. Now, if you don't have more than 21 and the dealer has more than 21, you win. And if neither of you have 21, then it'll be whoever has the greater total. So in this case, I have a greater total. So I'm going to stay because I have 19. And you can see the dealer must draw until they have at least 17 points in total. So in this case, the dealer had 14. For that reason, the dealer had to draw another card. And that resulted in the dealer getting a queen, which is 10 points. So in total, that is 24 points. Alright, so just for another example, you can see I have two cards, 2 and 9, so that's 11. If I hit, I get a jack, and I'll decide to stay, and I have 21. So the dealer started with queen and 3, and that is 13 in total. The dealer had to draw another card, which is 2, and that is 15. And so the dealer has to draw another card until they get 17 or higher. And the dealer ended up with a jack. In this case, it didn't matter because I already had 21. But yeah. So just one more example. I have a 7 and an 8. So in total, I have 15. If I hit, I have 7. And together, I have 22. So you can see this hit button is grayed out. And that is because I've exceeded 21. So I have no choice but to stay. And here you can see the dealer has king and 8. So in total is 10 plus 8, which is 18. 18 is greater than 17, so the dealer does not have to draw. And therefore I lose because the dealer has 18 and I have 22. So I automatically lose because I've exceeded 21. Okay, so that's how the game works. Alright, so before we begin coding, I just want to quickly mention that I am working on a new tutorial series where I create games in Java. So I currently have tutorials on Snake and Tic-Tac-Toe, and I'm working on BlackJack and Minesweeper, and there will be more tutorials to come. And I also have tutorials in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I have Doodle Jump, Flappy Bird, Space Invaders, Wordle, 2048, Minesweeper. I also have BlackJack in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if you're interested in tutorials like this one, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out. And you can also find the list on kennyupcoding.com. And for this tutorial, I will be using Visual Studio Code with Java. And if you want to learn how to set up Visual Studio Code with Java, I have a video on that. And I will link it in the video description. Alright, let's create a project. So Ctrl-Shift-P, Java, create Java project, no build tools. I'm going to create this on my desktop. And I'm going to name this BlackJack. Alright, so now I have my project folder. And in the source folder, I'm going to open up app.java. And here we have starter code for our project. And what you want to do is click on the GitHub link down below in the video description. In the GitHub link below, you will find the completed code. But for this tutorial, all you need to do is download the folder of cards. So I have images here for each card. And each card is named with the value and the type. So I have 2 of clubs, 2 of diamonds, 2 of hearts, and 2 of spades, and then 3 of clubs, 3 of diamonds, 3 of hearts, and 3 of spades, and so on. And I also have the Joker cards for if you want to use these images for another game. But yeah, just click on the GitHub link and download the repo and just take the cards folder with all the images and just drag and drop the cards folder with all these images into your project folder. Alright, so now you can see in my source folder where I have app.java, wherever you have your main function, make sure you have your cards folder with all these images. Okay? So just make sure they are in the same directory. Alright, let's begin coding. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this line. And I'm going to type BlackJack. BlackJack is equal to new BlackJack. And then within our source folder, I'm going to create a new file called BlackJack. Alright, so now all the code that we're going to be writing is going to be within this file. So we can close app.java and we can collapse that. So this is all we need. So let's start off by writing all the import statements. So import java.awt.star, import java.awt.event.star, import java.util.arraylist. So the array list is going to be for storing the cards in the player's hand. Import java.util.random. So this is going to be used for shuffling our deck of cards. And import javax.swing.star. Alright, now that we have our import statements, inside our BlackJack class, I'm going to create the constructor. And within here, I'm going to call a start game function. So let's define that. So within this start game function, we are going to create the deck of cards and then shuffle it and then assign the dealer 2 cards and assign the player 2 cards. So first, let's have a representation for a card. So I'm going to create a class over here. So private class card. And each card is going to have a value and a type. So string value and string type. And then let's create a constructor. We're going to pass in a value and a type. Alright, so to build a deck of cards, we need to create an array list to store all the cards. So I'm going to do array list of card deck. And then within the start game, I'm going to call build deck. So public void build deck. So deck is equal to new array list of card. And basically over here we need to list out all the types and values so that we can use for loops to iterate through each type and value and create a card based on each combination. So for the values, I'm going to create an array of strings, values, and we have A for ace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Jack, Queen, and King. And then let's also do the same for the type. So we have 4 types. So we have clubs, so C, diamond, heart, and spade. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is iterate through each type. And then for each type, I'm going to iterate through each value and create a card using each combination. So we're going to start off with clubs, and I'm going to do ace of clubs, one of clubs, two of clubs, three of clubs, and so on. And then I'm going to move on to diamonds, and then hearts, and then spades. So let's create two for loops. For int I equals 0, I less than types.length, I++. For int j equal to 0, j less than values.length, j++. I'm going to create a card object. So card is equal to new card. And I'm going to pass in values j and types I. And with that, I'm going to take the deck and add the card. So over here, let's add some print statements. So I'm going to print out the deck. Alright, so now let's save our program and run it. And you can see I have an array of card objects. And this is not ideal because it is basically showing the object type and the memory address. So what I want to do is create a string representation for the card. So what I'm going to do is scroll back up here. And I'm going to overload the toString method. So public string toString. And basically, whenever you want to print a class or an object, you need to provide a string representation. And so we are going to do so by overriding the toString method. So I'm going to return value plus the dash plus type. And the reason why I'm adding this dash is because our card images, for each one, the name of each image is the value dash type. So this is 2-C and this is 2-D and so on. So we want our string representation to be the same as the card images themselves. That way we can reuse this toString method when we're drawing our cards on our game panel. Alright, so now if I save and run our program, you can see we have our cards listed in our array. So we have ace of clubs, one of clubs, two of clubs, three of clubs, and so on. And then we have ace of diamonds, one of diamonds, two of diamonds, and so on. Okay? So we have a deck of cards. Now the next thing we need to do is shuffle the deck of cards. So within our start game function, I'm going to call shuffle deck. And to shuffle the deck randomly, I need to create a random object. So over here, I'm going to do random. Random is equal to new random. And this is for shuffling the deck. And then let's define our shuffle deck function. So public void shuffle deck. So the way we're going to shuffle our deck is we're going to iterate through each card in our deck and take that card and select a random card within our deck and swap the two. So for int I equals 0, I less than deck.size, I++, we're going to get the current card. So cur card is equal to deck.get I. And then we're going to get a random card. So card random card is equal to deck.get j. So we're going to define j as a random number. So int j is going to be random.nextInt. And we're going to make the bound deck.size. So this is going to give us a random integer up to the size of the deck. So in total, we have 52 cards. So it's going to give us a random integer from 0 to 51. Okay? And so now what we're going to do is swap the two cards. So deck.set I random card and deck.set J to current card. And let's also add some print statements. So system.out.println deck. Alright, now let's save and run our program. So now you can see we build a deck, everything is in order, and then after we shuffle, the cards are scrambled. And then just to show you, if I run the program again, you can see the order is different. So now we're starting with 8 of diamonds, and then we have ace of hearts, 1 of clubs, and if I run the program again, you can see we are starting with 8 of hearts, and then next one is 6 of diamonds, and so on. Okay? So that's how you shuffle the deck. Alright, now that we've shuffled our deck, let's create some variables for the dealer so that we can start dealing cards. So I'm going to scroll all the way up here, and I'm going to create a section for the dealer. So the dealer has a hidden card, so I'm going to create a variable for that. And the dealer also has a hand, so minus the hidden card, we're going to create an array list to store the rest of the cards. So array list card, dealer hand. And then we also want to keep track of the sum, so the total point values for the dealer. So dealer sum. I also want to keep track of the dealer's ace count. And we're going to use this variable to keep track of how many aces the dealer has, because the dealer is required to draw past 17. So if the dealer happens to draw a very big card, which results in the dealer having more than 21, if the dealer has an ace in their hand, they can change the value of the ace from 11 to 1, so that the dealer does not pass 21. So over here, let's initialize the variables for the dealer. So dealer hand is going to be a new array list. Dealer sum is going to be 0. And dealer ace count is also going to be 0. Alright, to start off the game, we're going to give the dealer 1 card for the hidden card. So hidden card is going to be deck.remove. And let's remove from the back of the deck. So deck.size -1. And then what we need to do is take the value of the hidden card and add it to the dealer sum. So dealer sum plus equal hidden card dot get value. So what I'm going to do is create a new method called getValue for the card class. Alright, so public int getValue. So if the card is a number card, that means we just need to return the number as the value. Otherwise, we need to figure out whether it's an ace, jack, queen, or king. So if A, J, Q, K, so ace, jack, queen, or king, dot contains value, if value is equal to ace, I'm going to return 11. So for now, we're just going to set the value of ace to 11, and then later on, if the player needs to reduce the total sum using an ace card, they can reduce the value from 11 to 1. So later on, I'll show you how to do that. So if it's an ace, we return 11. Otherwise, it's jack, queen, or king, we're going to return 10. And if it's not a letter, and instead a number, what I'm going to do is return integer dot parseInt value. So this is for 2 to 10. And over here, this is for ace, jack, queen, or king. Okay? Alright, so now back into our start game function. What we need to do is also make a check to see if the hidden card is an ace. So dealer ace count plus equal hidden card dot is ace. We're going to add 1, otherwise add 0. So this is the Java ternary operator syntax. And then likewise, I'm going to create a method for the card class to check whether the card is an ace or not. So this is going to return a boolean. So after getValue, let's create another method, and it's going to return a boolean. And this is just going to return value is equal to A. Alright, so that's going to be for the hidden card. And now let's draw another card for the dealer, and that is going to be placed in the dealer's hand. So this one is not going to be hidden. So card is equal to deck.remove deck.size -1. And likewise, we are going to get the value of the card and add it to dealer sum. And then we're going to check to see if that card is an ace. And then finally, we are going to take that card and add it to the array list, which is dealer hand. Alright, so just to summarize what we did, I'm just going to add some print statements. So let's print out the hidden card. Let's also show the dealer hand. And let's print out the dealer sum. And also the dealer's ace count. Alright, so let's save and run our program. Alright, so the hidden card is a king of clubs. And in the dealer's hand, we have 4 of diamond. So 10 plus 4. So in total, the dealer has 14 points and 0 aces. Alright, now we run it again. You can see we have 5 of clubs for the hidden card and ace of clubs. And so together that's 5 plus 11, which is 16 points, and the ace count is 1. Alright, so now that we have the dealer cards set up, let's also set up the player's cards. So over here, I'm going to create another section for player. And it's going to be identical, except we don't have the hidden card. So array list card is going to be for player hand. We need an int player sum and int player ace count. So within the start game function, let's also initialize the variables for the player and give the player 2 cards. So player hand is equal to new array list. Player sum is going to be 0, and player ace count is also going to be 0. So in this case, the player draws 2 cards and adds it to the hand. Therefore, we don't need anything for the hidden card. So I'm just going to use a for loop. So for int I is equal to 0, I less than 2, I plus plus. We're going to get a card from the deck. So again, we are removing a card from the end of the array list. And in this case, you can see we have a duplicate variable because we've already defined a variable called card. So I don't need to redefine it, so we can just use the same variable. Alright, so we get a card. Now we need to add the card value to the player sum. And then for the player ace count, card dot is ace, 1, otherwise 0. And then finally, we are going to add the card to the player hand. Alright, now let's add some print statements so that we can see what the player hand looks like. So let's print out player hand. Player sum. And player ace count. Alright, now let's run our program. Alright, so the dealer has jack of diamonds and a 10 of spades. So that in total, the dealer has 20 points and 0 aces. While we have 10 of diamonds and 3 of spades. So in total, we have 13 points. Let's run it again. And you can see the player has 10 of clubs and 2 of clubs. So in total, 12 points, 0 aces. And the dealer has queen of diamonds and jack of hearts. So in total, that's 10 plus 10, which is 20, and 0 aces. Alright, cool. So now we have our game logic ready. So now what we need to do is create the graphical user interface. So we're going to create a window with the game, and we're going to add a panel to draw the cards, and we're going to add a panel for 2 buttons, hit and stay. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so let's define some variables for the window. So the window is going to have a board width of 600 pixels and a board height of the same value. So I'm just going to assign it as board width. And then let's create a J-frame, which is our window. And let's pass in a title. So I'm just going to call this BlackJack. And then within our constructor, I'm going to add some properties to our window. So first, we need to make the window visible. So let's set visible to true. Frame.set size to board width and board height. Frame.set location relative to null. So this is going to open up the window at the center of our screen instead of at the top left. Frame.set resizable. Let's make this false. Frame.set default closing operation. JFrame.exit on close. So when the player clicks the X button on the window, it is going to terminate the program. Alright, now let's run our program. And you can see we have a window, 600 pixels by 600 pixels. And it's opened at the center of our screen. And we can't resize it. And if I click this X button, our program will terminate. Alright, so now the next thing we need is to add a J panel within our window. So I'm going to create a J panel. Let's name it Game Panel. And this is going to be used for drawing. So within our constructor, let's do Game Panel.set layout. New border layout. And let's set a background color for the game panel. So game panel.set background. New color. So the RGB values are going to be 53, 101, and 77. And then let's take this panel and add it to the frame. Alright, now let's run our program. And as you can see, we have our window. And within our window, we have our game panel, which is this color. Let's also add another panel for the buttons, and then let's add the 2 buttons within that panel. So up here, I'm going to add J panel, button panel, is equal to new JPanel. And then let's create a J button. Hit button is equal to new J button. And we're going to give it some text. So it's going to say hit. And let's create another button called the stay button. And it's going to have a text stay. Alright, so within our constructor, I'm going to do hit button dot set focusable to false. And then let's add this button to the button panel. Let's also do the same for the stay button. So button panel dot add stay button. And then finally, let's take the frame and add the button panel. Alright, now let's run our program. And you can see we have our button panel, and we have an issue, and that is the button panel is taking up all the space. We want the button panel to be somewhere down here. So what we need to do is specify border layout dot south. So now if I run the program, you can see we have the game panel and we have the button panel with these two buttons, hit and stay. Okay, so now let's take the game panel and draw the dealer's cards and the player cards. Alright, so to draw on the J panel, we need to override a method. So override, and that method is going to be public void paint component, and it's going to take a graphics object G. So inside this method is going to be where we're doing all the drawing. So super.paint component G. And so let's try to draw one card first. So that card will be the hidden card. So draw hidden card. And we're going to load the image for the hidden card. So image hidden card image is going to be new image icon. Get class dot get resource. And here we're going to pass in the image path. So over here you can see our BlackJack Java file. We have this cards folder in the same directory. So I'm going to do /cards/ and we need the image name. So I'm going to open this up, and the image should be this one over here, back.png. So this is a ./cards/back.png. And then over here, we're going to do .getImage. Okay. And then I'm going to draw the image. So g.drawImage. We need to pass in an image. So hidden card image. And X and Y position. So I'm going to put 20, 20. So the top left is going to be 0, 0. So 2020 means 20 to the right and 20 down. And then we need to specify a width and a height. So I'm going to write card width and card height, and then no. So we need to define what card width and card height are. So up here, I'm going to define them. So card width, let's make it 110 pixels, and card height 154 pixels. And you can change the values of the width and height if you want, but just remember the ratio should be 1 to 1.4 so that the images will be sharp. Otherwise, if you set the width and height to be something other than this ratio, you're going to stretch the image and make it a little pixelated. Alright, now let's save and run. Alright, so now you can see we have the hidden card for the dealer here, and it's using the back card image. So now what we need to do is draw the cards for the dealer hand and draw the cards for the player's hand. So actually what I'm going to do here is wrap this in a try-catch block just in case the images don't load. So try, and then let's put this here, highlight and press tab, and then catch, exception E, and then here we're just going to do e.print stack trace. Okay. Alright, so now what we need to do is draw the rest of the cards in the dealer's hand. So draw dealer's hand. And we're just going to iterate through each card in the array list for the dealer's hand. So for int I equals 0, I less than dealer hand dot size, I plus plus. We're going to get the card, dealer hand dot get I, and then we are going to get the card image. So image card image is equal to new image icon get class dot get resource. Now in this case we need to specify the card image path, and this can vary depending on what the card is. So with the hidden card it is always the back image, but in this case it can vary. So let's go back to our card class and define a new method to get the image path. So the image path is going to be very simple. So let's first define the method get image path, and we're just going to return dot slash cards folder slash plus the name of the image. So the name of the image corresponds with our string representation, which is value dash type. So over here I can just do toString, and just to remind you, each image is the value dash type. Okay? So dot slash cards slash toString plus the file extension, so .png. Okay, so this is going to be the image path of the card object. So let's go back. Over here within getResource, we're going to do card.getImagePath, and then at the very end we're going to do .getImage. And then we're going to draw this image, so g.drawImage card image. And we need to specify the X and Y position, so how much we want from the left. So in this case, we've already drawn the hidden card, so I'm going to offset that width, so card width. And then I want to add some space between the card and the hidden card, so plus 25. And then for every other subsequent card, we need to add card width plus 5, which is the space between each card in the dealer's hand, times I. And then we're going to set the Y to 20, so we just want it 20 pixels from the top. And then card width, card height, and null. Alright, now let's run our program. And so you can see the first card, the hidden card, is 20 pixels to the right, which is the X position, and 20 pixels down from the top, which is the Y position. And for this ace card, it is card width plus 25, because we want the 20 from the left and 5 from the card itself. So 20 plus 5 is 25. plus the card width. So the starting point will be over here. And then for every subsequent card, we're going to do card width times I being the number of cards, plus 5. So it's going to be card width plus 5 times I. So we're going to multiply this by the number of cards in the dealer's hand. So the next card is going to be over here somewhere. Okay? Now let's also do the same for the player's cards. So draw player's hand for int I equals 0, I less than player hand dot size, I plus plus. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. We need to get the card. And then let's load the card image. So I'm just going to copy and paste this. Place it here. And then we need to draw the card. So g.draw image, card image. In this case, we can just do 20 plus card width plus 5 times I. So the first card will start from 20 from the left, and then every subsequent card is going to be card width plus 5, 5 being the spacing between each card. And so I starts at 0, so for the first card it's just going to be 20. And then the second card is going to be 20 plus card width plus 5. Okay? And then for the Y position, we want it further down. So I'm just going to make it 320 pixels from the top. And then let's specify card width, card height, and null. Alright, now let's run our program. And as you can see, we have 2 cards for the player and 2 cards for the dealer. And if I run the program again, and again, you can see every time our starting cards are different. Okay? Alright, now that we have our cards loaded, let's make this hit button work so that the player can draw more cards. Alright, so down here, I'm going to do hit button dot add action listener, new action listener, and I'm going to define public void action performed action event E. And so when this button is clicked on, it's going to call this action performed function. And so when the player clicks on the hit button, we're going to draw a card. So card is equal to deck.remove deck.size -1 player sum plus equal card.getValue player ace count plus equal card.isAce question mark 1 otherwise 0 player hand dot add card. And then we're going to do game panel dot repaint. So repaint is going to call paint component. So every time we're changing something in the game, we need to update the game panel to reflect the changes. And actually, let's also add this line, game panel.repaint, outside. So down here at the very end, so that it will call repaint within the constructor. Alright, so basically we are going to draw another card, add the value to the player's sum, check if it's an ace, add it to the player's hand, and then we are going to call paint component so that we update the game panel. Alright, so now if I run our program, you can see we have 2 cards. If I press this hit button, we get another card, and another card, and another card, and so on. So what we need to do is add a check to see whether or not the player sum has past 21. So if the player sum has passed 21, the player should not be allowed to draw another card. So when we're checking the player's sum, we also need to take into consideration the number of aces the player has. So over here, instead of directly saying if player sum is greater than 21, I'm going to create a new function called reduce player ace. And then I'm going to check to see if this is greater than 21. If so, I'm going to do hit button dot set enable, and then we're going to make it false. So doing this will make the button grayed out and unclickable. So for example, if I had an ace, which is 11 points, and then a 2, and then a jack, in total we have 23 points. Therefore, I can subtract 10 and use up one of the aces and make it a 1. So originally this was worth 11, now it's going to be 1. So then we end up with this. So that's what reduce ace is going to do. So let's define it down here. And it's going to return an int. So we're going to use a while loop. So while player sum is greater than 21 and player ace count is greater than 0, this means if the player sum exceeds 21 and we have an ace, what I'm going to do is subtract 10 from the player sum. So instead of making it 11 points, we're going to subtract 10 and make the ace 1 point. And then I'm going to do player ace count minus equal 1. And then after that, we are just going to return player sum. Okay? Now, if the player sum is not greater than 21, we are not going to use up any aces. So this is only for the special case where the player sum is greater than 21. We're going to change one of the aces from 11 to 1. Okay? And then let's also create the same function for the dealer. So public int reduce dealer ace. And it's going to be the same thing, but with the dealer variables. So while dealer sum is greater than 21 and dealer ace count is greater than 0, dealer sum minus equal 10, dealer ace count minus equal 1, and then we're just going to return dealer sum. Alright, now let's run our program. So we have 19. So if I hit, we have 24 in total, and the hit button is now grayed out. Let's run it again. Alright, so now if I run our program again, this time we have an ace. So we have 8 plus 11, which is 19. So I can hit, and 19 plus 10 gives us 29, and that exceeds 21. So we're going to get reduced player ace. So we are subtracting 10. So now this ace is worth 1 point. So now we have 19 again. And if I hit again, 19 plus 3, this gives us 22. So that is greater than 21, and this button will gray out. Alright, so now what we need to do is add an action listener for the stay button so that we will tally up our total points for the dealer and player and then decide who is the winner. Okay? Alright, so back within our constructor where we added the action listener for the hit button, we're going to do the same for the stay button. So stay button dot add action listener, new action listener, and likewise we are going to define an action performed. So public void action performed action event e. And the first thing I'm going to do is disable the hit button so that once the player clicks stay, they're not allowed to add more cards. So hit button dot set enabled. let's make it false. And let's also do the same for the stay button. So stay button dot set enabled. Let's make that false as well. And basically, the rule is the dealer must draw until they have a sum of 17 or greater. So when the player clicks on the stay button, the dealer will draw. So while dealer sum is less than 17, we're going to get a card. So deck.remove deck.size -1. And then we're going to add the value to the dealer sum. So card.getValue. Let's also check to see if this is an ace. So dealer ace count plus equal card.isAce question mark 1, otherwise 0. And then finally, let's add the card to the dealer hand. So dealer hand.add card. And then I'm going to do game panel.repaint. And over here, let's add the semicolon. Okay. Alright, now let's run our program. And so I have a queen and a 7, so I'm just going to click stay. And as you can see, the dealer drew another card because in total, the dealer has less than 17. And actually, the dealer should flip over the hidden card as well. So we need to update that in our paint component function. So over here, when we're drawing the hidden card, by default, the hidden card is going to show the back card image. However, if not stay button dot is enabled, this means that the stay button has not been clicked on, because if we click on it, we're going to disable it. We're going to set hidden card image to another image. So new image icon, get class dot get resource, and the resource is going to be hidden card dot get image path, and then dot get image. Okay, so now if I run our program, you can see we have a jack and a 2. If I hit, I have a 4, and I'll just stay. And the dealer flips the card over, has a 3, so 3 plus 6 is 9, and that is not greater than 17, so the dealer is going to draw. And so the dealer drew one more card, which is a jack, and in total, the dealer has 19 points. Okay? Alright, so now what we need to do is write a message in the middle of the game saying who won. So in this case, the dealer would win because the player has 16, whereas the dealer has 19. So let's add this in our paint component function. So over here, right after we draw the player's hand, I'm going to do if not stay button dot is enabled. So if we click on the button and disable it, it is no longer enabled. That means we can finalize this round. So dealer sum, we are going to reduce dealer ace. And player sum, we are going to reduce player ace. And let's also print out the values. So system.out.println stay Alright, so we're going to print out the final values for dealer sum and player sum. And then over here, I'm going to create a string message that we are going to draw on our game panel. So by default, let's just make it an empty string. And here we are going to do the comparisons. So if player sum is greater than 21, it doesn't matter what the dealer has, you automatically lose. So the message will be you lose. else if dealer sum is greater than 21, the message will be you win. Otherwise, if we get to this point, this means both you and the dealer both have less than or equal to 21 points. So else if player sum is equal to dealer sum, the message will be tie. Else if player sum is greater than dealer sum, the message will be you win. Else if player sum is less than dealer sum, the message will be you lose. Alright, so these are our winning conditions. And then let's draw this on the game panel. So g.set font, new font. I'm going to use Arial. Font.plain. And let's make the font size 30. G.set color. Let's make the pen white. So color.white. And then g.draw string message. And the X position will be 220, and the Y position will be 250. Alright, now let's run our program. And so we have 5 and 8, I'm going to hit, and in total I have 21, so I'm going to stay, and the dealer has 20, so the dealer does not draw, and 20 is less than 21, so the player wins. Let's run the program again. And here we can see the dealer has an ace, and we have a king and a 7, so we have 17, and here I'll just stay. And the dealer flips, dealer has a queen and an ace, which is 21, so we lose. Let's play again. King and 6, that's 16, I'm going to hit, and that is 22. If I stay, I lose. And one last time, I have 16, I'll just stay. And I lose. Let's see, 6 plus 7 plus 8. The dealer has 21. Okay, so yes, I lose. Alright, so now we have a fully functional game of blackjack. And if you found this tutorial helpful, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel as well. If you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. And you can continue working on this game if you want. You can modify the code however you like. And one feature you can add is an input saying how much money you want to bet. And you can also add a reset button. So for instance, if I play this game and I hit and then I stay, you can see I win, but to play another game, I need to restart the program. So you can add a reset button so that we don't have to restart the program every time. So this is all up to you if you want to continue working on the game. And yeah, just give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.